but.
Steve Norender. Great. I don't know that I've seen your name. Okay. Or email.
Probably not. I was fifth on the list to make it speaker. Everyone else is good. So.
BW.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
This will be a good one. Colin, remind me your last name.
Olsen, O-L-S-E-N.
Ian. How are you? There she is.
Here I am.
We might have a quorum, and I mean, I'm practically want to dance and jig for that, but I won't.
Don't call again.
Let's no juice. Let's see what we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm 8. Adam, do we need 8 or 9?
8.
Woo-hoo!
Bad.
Look at that. That is awesome.
Yeah, that was.
I feel like I checked on my calendar.
Yeah.
Nice. Jeff, if you could let us know, I don't recognize you. If you could be so kind to let us know what community or agency you're representing today?
Sure, happy to do that. I live in Manchester and I'm a volunteer at Queen City Bike Collective, and I'm also a board member of the Bike Walk Alliance of New Hampshire.
Thank you. Glad you're here with us today.
Looking forward to it.
We have DOT on. What I saw. Bill, yeah, I did see Bill. And we have Lucy. Virtual. Virtual.
We can get as we move so.
Craig Tice. Who's our vice chair, or do we have one?
We have them.
We don't have our chair today. I'm wondering, we have 2 representatives from Manchester. Manchester is usually our chair. Butch, would you be willing to do the honors?
Are you looking at moi?
No, I'm looking at Butch.
Anything you need, Sylvia.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, if you could join us front and center, and then we'll be very happy to. We have a quorum, which is just fun and crazy. All right, I believe we can start then.
Okay, it's 9:33 a.m. We'll call this meeting to order. We're going to start with roll call. So I don't remember how we normally do it.
Why don't we just go around the room? Andrew, will you start some? Sorry, Linda. We could do that simultaneously. Linda is hinting at that. So roll call and minutes simultaneously. Andrew.
Andrew Bennett, Chester, and yes on the minute.
Wonderful.
Angela Kendall from Eastern Fields. Yes. Joanne Duffy, town from planning director. Yes, on the minutes.
Yes.
Linda.
Linda Kunhardt, Francistown, yes, on the minutes. Colleen Olson, town of Bedford, yes. Becky Hebert, town of Bedford, yes.
Butch Laker, Manchester Planning, yes. Thanks.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm Liliana Warner and I'm not voting for minutes.
Steve Norender, City of Manchester, Department of Public Works, yes on the minutes.
Sylvia Von Aulock. I'm with the commission and I'm good to go on the minutes. Adam.
Adam Lasney, staff planning commission.
Elizabeth Revenue, town of Derry, yes, on the minutes. Tracy Whitehead, MTA Cart, yes, on the minutes.
David Tilton with the commission.
Dave Pierce, just a guest here this morning from Goffstown.
James Bayo, member of the commission.
That's for the commission.
All right, and then we can move to our virtual audience. Caroline?
Hello, Caroline Wilson, Town of Derry Planning Department.
Thank you. Jeff?
Hi, I'm Jeff Rogers. I live in Manchester. I'm a volunteer at the Queen City Bike Collective, and I'm a board member of the Bike Walk Alliance of New Hampshire.
All right, and June?
Yeah, I'm June Trisciani. I am with the Queen City Bicycle Collective based in Manchester.
Cam, did you start the?
So
the
Cam has started the recording and he is on another call that he had to take. So that's why I'm sitting out here right now.
Oh, good, but
I'm
he's,
Suzanne. I'm staff of the commission.
so the recording has started, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Thank you. I just wanted to verify.
The recording is paused.
Oh, it's paused.
Says paused.
But that's we paused it.
Hold on.
I had
Well,
told
Hey.
him to start it.
It is recording on my computer. Sorry.
Oh, confusing. Okay, great. All right, let's keep going. I see Lucy next.
Lucy St. John, New Hampshire DOT. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. And then I see Mac.
Mac Bevere, NHDES.
Suzanne already went. And we have Craig Tufts.
Hi, I'm Craig Tufts from Central New Hampshire Regional Planning.
And Ben.
Hi, Ben Herbert, Region 8 Mobility Manager.
Thanks, Ben. And Cam.
Hi, everyone. Cam Perlman, Senior Planner here.
And Bill Watson.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Bill Watson, New Hampshire DOT.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody. All right. Back to you, Butch.
Okay, so we're gonna get started with new business today. This is item 3. We're gonna start with item 3.1, Transportation Alternative Program Project Prioritization. So this is the big reason we're all here today.
Yes, big reason why we're all here. Thanks for yeah.
So we're seeing presentation mode right now. Oh, there you go.
Okay, great. Everyone can see that in full screen?
Yep.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is David Tilton, and today I'm going to talk about the Transportation Alternative Program, or TAP, funding for round 5. So let me get rid of this first. All right. So to start off, I'd like to recap some of the TAC and NPO meetings that we've had with regards to TAP. On February 20th, SHPC staff presented to the TAC an overview of the TAP process. This included project overview of the 3 projects submitted in our region. Why this keeps going back? An overview of the TAP process and a review of the project criteria. On February 25th, we did a similar presentation to the MPO. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. On the 20th, I forgot to mention that we also took volunteers for the TAP evaluation subcommittee. On February 25th, we did a similar presentation to the MPO where we reviewed the projects, the process, the criteria, and we introduced the subcommittee members. On March 13th, project sponsors from the communities that submitted TAP projects came to present their projects to the full TAC. And then right after that meeting, the subcommittee evaluation met to review, score, discuss, and rank those projects. So that brings us to where we are today in the next steps that we need to close the circle on our portion of this project. So in today's meeting, we're going to review the subcommittee's recommendations. The TAC may modify or accept those recommendations as they see fit. And at the end of this, the action item will be the TAC will vote to recommend TAP project priorities for the MPO to consider. Next Tuesday at the MPO meeting, we're going to review the TAC's recommended regional priorities. And the MPO will vote to approve the final project priorities for TAP Round 5 for the SNHPC communities. And we will get those to NHDOT before the deadline of the 25th. Here we have the 5 categories that we use to rank and evaluate the projects. 5 categories with a total of 20 points each, for a grand total of 100 potential points. And we'll do a brief overview of the projects. For Goffstown, they're looking to construct a 126-foot pedestrian bridge over the Piscataquag River, connecting the Goffstown Rail Trail and the downtown Village District. So Manchester, as you may remember, had was looking at safety for safety improvements, connectivity for bike and pedestrians around the Livingston Park area, Hooksett Road, Union Street, up in northern Manchester. Just this week, we received correspondence from Manchester that they were going to modify and define the scope a little bit more. Just yesterday, we received this graphic showing some of those modifications to their scope. And I will go over these briefly. I haven't committed all these to memory, so I'll be reading a little bit off of this, but evaluate bike and pedestrian intersection improvements at Hooksett and Campbell and Hooksett, Webster and Beach. Those are the green circles of the north and south part of Livingston Park. Evaluate sidewalk gaps and curb cuts on Hooksett Road, as well as a mid-block crossing, which I believe is the green circle on Hooksett Street in the middle part. Evaluate curb extensions or other safety treatments at crossings along Union Street to the west, and remove the proposed access improvements on Clark Street, which is the blue highlighted part down in the southwest, as well as proposed work north of Campbell Street in the northwest corner of the map. For Wyndham is looking to construct a 10-foot wide paved path between Meeting House Road and North Lowell Road, going under I-93 and providing a connection within the existing rail trail network. So now we're going to take a minute to discuss the TAP evaluation subcommittee and the process that they went through. I'd like to start off by thanking the 3 members who formed the committee for their time. They volunteered their time and their expertise to keep this process going. As we mentioned earlier, the subcommittee was formed at the February 20th TAC meeting. And that was formed with TAC representatives from communities that did not submit a project for this round of TAP. Those 3 members were Rebecca Hebert from Bedford, Elizabeth Robidoux from Derry, and Sylvia Von Aulich from SNHPC. Thank you all for being part of this process. So prior to our meeting on the 13th, applications and supporting materials were sent to the subcommittee for review. We met immediately after the March 13th TAC meeting to discuss. This was a couple hours worth of meeting. We met in Sylvia's office right after the TAC meeting. And then once this room cleared out, we came here, put everything on the big board, reviewed all of the materials, discussed scorings, positives and challenges, and ultimately coming up with our rankings. After the meeting, during the meeting, the scores and comments were recorded, and then a Google document was created and sent to the committee members to review to ensure that comments, scores, and everything else was accurate. So now I'm going to go through each of the categories and try to summarize some of the comments here. If any of the subcommittee members would like to jump in with additional comments, please feel free to. So the first category is adds to existing non-motorized facilities. And so we had our main category and we have these sub categories which we're using for discussion questions. So is the project the next phase of a multi-phase project? Goffstown is obviously the next phase of a multi-phase project. Manchester and Wyndham were not. These are brand new projects, even though it was recognized that both the Manchester and Wyndham projects have potential to be implemented as a multi-phase project. Does the project fill in gaps in an existing non-motorized facility? Yes, each one of these projects does fill in gaps to an existing facility. The Goffstown and the Wyndham projects filled in clear definitive gaps. Within Goffstown is bridging a gap between New Boston and Manchester. The Wyndham project is bridging a gap within the existing rail trail network. Manchester one also has the potential to fill in those gaps, being where it's located, the dense neighborhoods around it, and the scope of the project around the park. But there was, and this was at the time, March 13th, when we had this information, the Manchester project was very conceptual. So there was some uncertainty on how those gaps would be filled. And for the last one, is this the first phase of a multi-phase project? Each one of these was a no. So for this category, Goffstown scored 20, and Manchester and Wyndham scored 14 each. For the next category, providing non-motorized connections. Does the project connect to a large population node destination for goods, services, recreation, or government locations? Yes, each one of these projects did provide connections from large population nodes to each of the descriptions on the category here. As we mentioned before, the Goffstown is connecting New Boston and Manchester. The Manchester will allow improved connections to Livingston Park, and the Wyndham project fills in gaps within the existing trail network in Wyndham and Southern New Hampshire. The next discussion question, does the project bridge over water or busy roadways? The Goffstown and the Wyndham projects obviously do. Goffstown bridges over the Scataquag River, and the Wyndham project goes underneath I-93. So there was definitely connections there. And once again, the Manchester project does bridge over busy roadways, but the conceptual nature of the project made it hard to quantify how those connections would be made. But those connections were recognized because of the surrounding neighborhoods that could be positively impacted by the project. Does the project connect a population to a school? Goffstown and Manchester, there were schools within a quarter mile of the project, so they scored highly there. Wyndham, being a rail trail project out in a somewhat undeveloped area, did not have any schools nearby. For this category, Goffstown scored 18, Wyndham and Manchester 15 points each. So for the third category, connections to other modes of transportation. Will the project provide connections to other modes of transportation for low-income, elderly, disabled, or non-driving populations? Manchester scored the highest for this category due to the location of the park, the project scope around the park, and the densely packed neighborhoods around the park, as well as the MTA bus service connections. Goffstown scored the next highest on this, due to connections to the downtown area, as well as a fairly new apartment complex that was built on Factory Street. And Wyndham does have the potential for connections for the non-driving public and does improve accessibility to the trail network. For this one, Manchester scored the highest with 17 points, followed by Goffstown at 16, Wyndham at 14. For the fourth category, stewardship. Does the municipality have paid staff to maintain the improvement? And does the municipality have equipment to maintain the improvement? All of our municipalities that provided applications for this project answered the affirmative for this. They all have staff, they all have equipment, the improvement will be maintained. Does the municipality have written policies regarding maintenance? No written policies were provided in the applications, but we did note that the Goffstown did have 8 letters of support from various community organizations, including the Board of Selectmen, and Goffstown does have a history of continued maintenance, improvement, and funding for the Goffstown Rail Trail. Does the municipality have line items in their budget for maintenance of improvement? Yes, each one of these communities does have a budget for maintenance of improvement. For this one, we had a little bit of a side conversation. I believe it was in the Manchester application. They noted in this section that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen provided a support letter for a funding match. This started a conversation about funding matches for the different communities, which is referred in the comments here. For this category, Manchester scored 18, Goffstown 16, Wyndham 14. And for our last category, vulnerable road user target areas. This was based on the location of the improvement in relation to the vulnerable road user safety assessment in the high injury network found in the DOT document, as well as information provided in the SS4A safety action plan. So Manchester scored the highest here with 20 points, being the size of the project being located in Manchester, and a number of high injury network corridors and roadways were within the project area and adjacent to the project area. Goffstown scored 16 points with this because the project is near the high injury network, being 114. Wyndham scored 12 points here. The project being just the nature of the project being a rail trail, it was not in the high injury network, but it is recognized that some of the community, some of the network, the roadways in Wyndham are not bicycle and pedestrian friendly, and this would allow vulnerable road users off of some of those corridors. For here, we have Manchester scoring 20, Goffstown 16, Wyndham 12. So here we have a summary slide showing the rankings and the score for each of the communities. We ranked Goffstown number 1 with 86 points, Manchester number 2 with 84 points, Wyndham number 3 with 69 points. So that concludes my presentation. We can open up the floor to questions and discussion. And I do want to reiterate that we do have an action item here needed where we need a TAC recommendation of TAP project priorities for the SNHPC's MPO's consideration. Thank you.
I do have a question.
Yep.
This is a follow-up to a question that was asked last meeting. Did we ever get any guidance as to Coast Street for the Goffstown project? I know there was some concern that it may be more work or cost more than was originally anticipated. Is that something that's followed up on?
I do not know. I do not have a answer for that.
I don't even recall that question. What?
It was a question that had been asked at the last meeting. You asked at the last meeting about the Depot Street, how that would have to be reworked.
Are we talking not to do Boston?
Oh, sorry, was that?
I think it was the New Boston construction intersection. Yeah.
For the Goffstown project, if I remember correctly, the town needs to expand apartments and it's.
No, well,
And this doesn't commit any of our money, it's a grant, it's grant awarded, right?
Yeah, this is fun. Yeah,
It's very funny.
80% and 20%. Yep.
yeah, and this is a recommendation again for the MPO. How about our virtual audience? Any questions from our virtual audience? Not seeing any?
I would move to recommend that the order of TAP recipients be sent to the NPO.
As presented.
As presented.
Need a second.
I'll second that.
We have 2 seconds over there.
So now we vote.
Should do it.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, so we have a second from Andrew. All right.
And can we vote if we're?
Yes, everyone can vote.
Raise your hand for aye.
All right, so I see all eyes. We have a couple, let's see, we have who up there? I think we're just Lucy and Bill, so we have a DOT. Thank you.
I abstain.
Okay, and I also vote in affirmative.
Any hands for nays?
Okay, so it's unanimous to vote this forward.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody. Yep. Let me see if I can do it 1 second.
So I
No
put it
guarantee.
into the TAC folder.
Okay, so it should be. Is
I
that
don't think that I've pulled it up yet.
okay? So that's so we'll close out of
The
this.
file explorer. Then
This one
yeah,
is here. So we just gotta open it first. And I'm just gonna close out mine so we have less confusion.
that's good.
All right, so close that out. Here. Bam. Bam. All right, and then I think it's this. And then we gotta do,
Can our home viewers see the full screen?
not quite yet. Flowing controls, then we do this. All right, so now you should be all set.
It looks good.
Okay, great.
I'll try and kind of face here, so I'm facing most of you and the people on Zoom. So I'm Liliana Buona. I'm a senior community and environmental planning major at the University of New Hampshire. And for the past 4 months, I've also been a transportation intern with the SNHPC. So I've been studying how to improve public transit training in Manchester through a future Bus Buddies program. So this started in 2023, where the SNHPC was part of a multi-agency effort to understand the needs of the elderly and improve their quality of life. So we took a group of elders from Victory Women of Vision, a nonprofit that serves elderly immigrant women, and we took them on the bus for the first time. It was really successful, and elders are still taking the bus to get groceries and visit family and go to social activities. And so we wanted to build on that success and wondered if we could train them not only to ride the bus themselves, but to be able to teach others to ride the bus as well. Additionally, a little bit of information about the Manchester Transit Authority. They're the biggest public transit system in the state, but they have a lower average number of trips than other mid-sized cities in the US. And it's a really important community resource. We want people to be using this. And so our goal is to help community members learn how to ride the bus. One of the biggest challenges with public transit is that it can be really intimidating for first-time users, and that's across any transit system, including Manchester. And as part of my research for this project, I interviewed transit training coordinators from Nashua and from Olympia, Washington, and they both mentioned that fear and lack of awareness were really big barriers to public transit use, which is reasonable. If you don't know how to buy a ticket, if you don't know what the bus schedule is, you're probably not going to use the bus. Also, there's always the fear that if something goes wrong, you'll end up lost in a completely unfamiliar place, no idea how to get home, and that can be really scary for people. An additional point is that since we've been working with Victory Women of Vision, there can be language barriers. How do you know when the bus is coming if you can't read the language that the schedule is written in? The good news is that confidence increases with experience. And we've seen this with Victory Women of Vision, with the elders who are still riding the bus after that first group training session. And I also heard from Nashua that they have a number of special needs students who went through transit training and are still using the bus system. And so we want to provide a way for people to increase their experience and their confidence with the public transit system. And that's what led to kind of this idea of the Bus Buddies program, which we're working with the MTA to create a program where new riders can have a volunteer bus buddy accompany them on their first ride so that they can answer their questions, help them learn the routes, and just generally navigate riding the bus for the first time so that they feel more confident. As part of this program, we would train volunteers in how to ride the bus and then how to teach others, give them a free bus pass, and then let them accompany new riders. And this is really important because the volunteer element expands the capacity of the MTA to provide one-on-one individualized training without requiring more full-time staff members. And the volunteer element also makes it a little less intimidating for the new riders. It's neighbors and friends teaching them how to ride the bus, not someone who does it for a living. And so that increases some of the community connections that are built. So the research is really where I come in. As I said, I'm a senior at UNH, and I needed to complete a senior capstone project, which is a research project that focuses on a real-world issue. I care a lot about public transit, and so for my project, I've been researching how we can create the best Bus Buddies program for Manchester. So I looked at some other transit systems and how they conduct their training, what audiences they serve, and what the volunteer component of our Bus Buddies program might look like. I reviewed a lot of academic studies on transit training, and I was surprised to find that a lot of them focused on individuals with disabilities. Now, this was a variety of disabilities, everything from hearing loss and vision impairment to cognitive and independent living difficulties. And pretty much all of the studies indicated that there were positive transit training outcomes for these groups, especially when the training was individualized. According to the Census Bureau, Manchester has a disabled population of 13.7%. And so this is a population that I think could benefit greatly from this training. Additionally, Manchester has a really high immigrant population. Nationally, the average is about 10%, and statewide, it's approximately 6.77%. But Manchester has an immigrant population of 14.5%. So that's more than twice that of New Hampshire and almost 1.5 times the national average. And immigrants may have additional transportation barriers, such as not being as comfortable with American traffic laws and licensing processes and being less familiar with the language. And so learning how to use public transit can significantly increase their self-sufficiency. The elderly can also benefit from transit training, particularly if they feel less comfortable with driving or driving at night. This can help increase their quality of life. As mentioned before, it can help people with disabilities in Manchester. And as I saw from Nashua's transit training program, it can also be beneficial to students, particularly like high school and college students. So while it can definitely benefit the broader population, these are some specific populations that we think could, that this might become a particularly important service for them. So as part of my research, I conducted informational interviews. I talked with the transit training coordinator for the Nashua transit system and a couple of transit training coordinators from Intercity Transit in Olympia, Washington, just to see what their programs were like and what components we might want to incorporate. So in Nashua, the transit training is staff-based. When someone requests transit training, they set a date and time, and a staff member goes to meet them. They get on the bus. While they're riding the bus, the staff member will explain the map and how to read the schedule. And since the Nashua buses run in a loop, they just stay on the bus the whole time. The staff member points out some important destinations, and then when they get back around to the stop that they got on at, they get off and the transit training concludes. And they do this for individuals and groups, and a lot of their clients are elderly or students with special needs. In Olympia, I chose to interview them because they have a really robust transit training program with 2 branches. So one is their staff branch, which is somewhat similar to Nashua. The other is their Bus Buddies program, which is super cool. So their program is a partnership between Catholic Community Services and the Intercity Transit Agency. And so they train volunteers as bus buddies. And some of these volunteers have been taking public transit for years. Others are clients of the program who liked it so much that they wanted to contribute. And so what they do is when a new client needs assistance, they match them based on the bus buddy's availability and location. So for example, if one of the bus buddies lives in the northern section of the city and they just had a client from there who requested training, then they'll pair them up because that bus buddy is likely more familiar with that area of the transportation system. They also put a lot of effort into publicizing their program. So they go to senior centers regularly and community fairs, and they put up advertisements at the local libraries. Sometimes they even just like walk around with their bus buddy shirts on. And this means that they have a pretty consistent flow of new clients into their program. So some other takeaways from their program is that they make a point to build community among bus buddy volunteers. So they have a social gathering 2 to 3 times a year to show their appreciation for the volunteer work and just let them kind of build friendships. And they really invest in their volunteers, which means that they typically serve for many years. One interesting fact is that when the program started in Olympia, they would give the bus buddies a free bus pass. And then a couple years after the program started, Olympia went fare free. So all the buses were completely free to ride, and the bus buddy coordinator was a little afraid that the bus buddies would leave without this incentive. But many of them stayed. And as the bus buddy coordinator kind of talked to them and figured out why, a lot of it is because their main reason for becoming a bus buddy was to help the community. It wasn't for that benefit of the free bus pass. And that's something that we want to keep in mind for our own program, since volunteers who are motivated by helping the community are more likely to have the commitment and enthusiasm that leads to long-term successes. From a kind of programmatic point of view, Olympia shared some of their materials with us, and it was important to learn about some of their safety procedures. For example, they hold liability insurance, and they conduct background checks on the bus buddies. And we may decide to adopt these because we want to ensure that our programs are safe and operate as intended. So what this means for us is that we're going to continue working with the MTA to build on existing resources and utilize the information that I gathered to create a pilot Bus Buddies program. We're looking to identify initial volunteers who are eager to help the community and hopefully have some familiarity with the public transit system already. And we are trying to identify organizations who would be willing to be part of that first cohort of the Bus Buddies program as we pilot it. And then in the long term, once it's more established, we want to publicize the program more so that we can build the network of volunteers and clients. So thank you. And that's it.
Thank you. That was great.
So are there any questions? I'll also go to the meeting and see if there's any questions on Zoom.
No, do you need a letter of good job list for your?
Well, you know, praise is always welcomed,
But this
but
is part of your graduation exercise, right?
yeah,
So does handwritten notes saying how great it was?
that would honestly be lovely.
So we
Thank
just
you.
know where to send it.
Yeah,
let you
I
know.
can give you, yeah, thank you so much.
All right, any questions from our virtual audience for Liliana?
One question here. First of all, compliments. Yes, great. Like everyone said, great presentation. Specific question is, do you know if any of the training provided dealt with, say, a first-time rider who had a bicycle with them?
Yes, so from Olympia, I'm not sure if their specific training covered that, but we're hoping to do some videos online that people could access and be able to show in person, like if you have a bike, here's how you put it on the bus, because that's something that a lot of people don't know how to do. And so that's definitely something that we would cover.
Thank you. Awesome.
Any other questions?
I mean, I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Well, I asked you because I'm interested in that big discrepancy of usership. So why are we so? Is it just that we don't encourage people to do it, or is it because people aren't gonna go out during our bad weather events anyway?
Yeah,
It's
so
much
that
milder.
it is milder.
So
It's more.
I was a little shocked at that discrepancy. but
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe it was more than just a simple reason of not training people.
So there's definitely, and there's a large variation across the country in mid-sized cities. Some had lower averages than ours. Of course, some had higher. In Washington, the weather is usually a little bit more temperate. There's still rain, but you know, less freezing temperatures. I think another thing that might contribute, this is just me speaking as myself, not from any data, but we have a very automobile-centric transit system here. And so, you know, I think that in Olympia that they're a little bit more like bus and bike friendly. So that could be contributing as well. Yeah.
So, in looking to identify like target organizations, what would be, I guess, like the ask from the organization that, like, what would we need to do?
Yeah.
Like
So
if you were interested, or if you were interested in working with Liliana as our travel trainer, what would you need? Or
Yeah, what would that look like? Or
You
do we
tell
know
her.
yet, I guess?
yeah, so we're still designing the program and kind of figuring out exactly what it will look like, but I think what it would probably be is that, like, if you have a group of people that are interested, I would probably come present to them, tell them what the program is, see who's particularly interested, and then I would meet one-on-one with any individuals who wanted to set up a time and date to go ride the bus, explain how to read the map, how to read the schedule, take them through that training so that hopefully they can ride the bus themselves. And I think for a pilot group, I would also be looking for more feedback. So maybe have like a survey for them to fill out after the training about whether or not all their questions were answered and things that we could do to improve. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
Liliana is obviously working very closely with Tracy and
Yes.
folks from MTA. And so we're, as Liliana said, this is a pilot program.
Yep.
So if anyone is interested, please let us know. We're very excited about moving this forward. I know Tracy's really jazzed about it. Mike Whitten is jazzed. So we want to make this successful, and also not just with like we can work with cards, we can work with MTA, their call demand, their fixed service. With
Yeah.
you folks with the volunteer driver programs. So we're really looking at any type of community transportation that Liliana just breaks that barrier. It's kind of the same thing as working out, right? You know you should, you know you want to, but you know, you have to get in the door. So it's the same kind of like, oh, you just have to get to that door.
And if you have a friend with you, it's easier.
Yes, and Liliana is obviously very friendly. And she's our people person, so she's gonna be great.
Yes.
I know at least in the first group that you worked with, language was a big barrier. Is there any way or any, I guess, steps to include like language support as well?
Yeah, so the Department of Health and Human Services has been able to assist us with some translation. And so I believe we have some like very small initial materials in I think 6 different languages. And so that's been a state resource that we've been able to lean on to help with those language barriers.
Yeah, they've worked with Victory Women of Vision, and that group asked for, I think, 4 to 6 different interpretations. And so we have our Bus Buddy pamphlet, so it's, and they changed that, but Tracy's also working with the group, and she's gonna do Spanish and
French and Spanish. Being translated. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the buses are equipped with the Google Translate on the
Yes.
tablet. So anybody is able to get onto the bus, and then if there's a language barrier there, they simply just type in whatever they need to type in and hit the language.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's that was.
Yeah. And we're also trying to incorporate more graphics into some of the materials so that, you know, even if, I know, let's say you don't speak one of the 6 languages that we've translated it into already, that you might still be able to get the idea of, oh, you know, riding the bus, someone's going to help you with this, to try and be more inclusive.
Yeah, yeah, you saw the big picture of like market basket. how
Yeah.
that translates to.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Our website as well has every language.
Yes.
Like on the upper right hand corner, you'll see like a globe up there. Take the globe, select your language, and it translates the whole website.
Yeah, it's like over 200
to
languages.
The other language.
Do you know if people are aware of those services? That's something that,
Bus Buddy program,
or yeah, just like the language services like that on the bus. And the website.
not enough.
Yeah.
And I think that is a barrier, absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome that you guys
Yeah.
provided though.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something where, like, in the trainings, I would definitely mention, like, on the website, you can have it translated here, and hopefully also through like word of mouth, that information would spread as well.
Around Shout app too.
Yes. Any other questions?
Nice job.
Thank you.
That concludes 3.2, our overview of Bus Buddy Travel Training Program. That brings us to item number 4, other business. Does anybody have any other business that we should bring to the table?
As a member of the commission, as staff of the commission, I have a notice or an announcement that on April 29th, we'll be doing a focus group discussion for the comprehensive plan, which will cover a variety of topics, transportation included. And right now, we have a really good list of attendees, probably 20-25 people are participating. But I'm still looking for a few more people who might be interested in joining to discuss the issues of the region and draft goals for the comprehensive plan. So if anybody has an interest, come see me after the meeting, and I'll be sure to follow up with you in an email and add you to the list.
Jim, you want to just quick share what the key topics are?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about land use, housing, transportation, natural resources, natural hazards, recreation, and energy.
So transportation is one of the topics. Because we have a couple bike ped people, I mean, that's always fun to chat about. So, or any other topic?
Get a time on that?
Yeah, it will be the same time that we typically have our MPO commission meetings, so that's 11:30 till 1 o'clock. It's 90 minutes. We're gonna break into 4 groups, so we'll meet as a group of 25 people. in Zoom. We'll break into 4 separate groups to tackle two topics per group, and then we'll come back together and report out our discussions. And so the staff have been collaborating with me on facilitating these group discussions. And you know, it's really exciting. We don't often get the opportunity to spend staff time and on this because we typically don't have the resources to do this kind of work. So you know, this is one of those rare opportunities where we do get to reflect on who we are as a region and sort of pick, sort of debate and pick what our future should look like. And this is one of those instances.
And what was the date again? That's the 29th?
Yes, it's a Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 29th.
Jim, a question. So since everything is changing right now up in Concord, and lots of bills have been going through in the last few weeks on land use development, have you been keeping track of the latest votes on how those votes may have an impact on this?
On a personal level, I've been watching it, but at the level of the comp plan, it's very high level. So really, we're like picking direction. We're kind of crafting a vision of what the future should look like, and
Regardless of what.
yeah, you know, it doesn't get into the minutia of how things are regulated at the state level, but we have a really good base to work off from the 2015 plan, and what we're doing in this comp plan is an update. And so a lot of what the content is derived from 2015 is kind of there for us to start a discussion and prompt a discussion about, you know, what's working well, what's changing, what new things have arisen that we haven't even considered that need to be part of the discussion, like AI didn't exist in 2015, you know, is that impacting decisions in our vision of the future? I don't know the answer to this. This is for the region to decide. Right?
Okay, thank you. I think we're just more attuned to it because there are a lot of Goffstown reps and our Goffstown senator who is proposing this on legislation. Okay.
All right, so without any other business, that leaves us to action item number 5.
Hi. I'm so sorry. I have other business real quick. So we have a RFP that just got brought out under the Granite State Clean Fleets program, which is funded by the Volkswagen Mitigation Trust. I put out a e-news at least a week ago about it. So I think almost all of the RPC should have gotten an email about it, but I can drop the information on it in the chat. It is a $5.1 million RFP, which is very exciting for a lot of public and private organizations that qualify. So there's a mix of proposals that qualify, mostly on-road vehicles and replacement units as well. But I would also just reference the RFP for specifics on it. It's very similar to DERA with a couple of different things on there. But the last time we brought this RFP out, it was only public organizations. And so we've opened it to public and private to benefit more organizations essentially. So we also just sent out an e-news for a webinar that will be happening on April 23rd, and that will allow organizations who want to register to ask us questions and various things like that on the specifics of the RFP. So, and you can feel free to email us at MS Grants if you have any questions as well.
Mac, you said you had sent an email out about this program?
Yeah, so we should have all of the planning commissions on our e-news, but I can send another email out. I can forward it out if that's helpful as well. But I can drop the link to our website in the chat too.
That'd be great if you could do that belt and suspenders kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Do we have any other business? Or else I jump the gun. All right, seeing no other business, that leaves us to action item number 5, adjournment. Do we have anybody that would like to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Okay, at 10:19 a.m.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks all. Appreciate your time.